The family's here, and let's have a family discussion here on Hot 97 this morning. First and foremost, shout to all of the organizations. I don't want to run through the list because I don't want to leave anybody out that helped put together the Justice or Else gathering in D.C. this weekend.
You almost said Injustice for All and confused with Metallica concert, didn't you?
So big up to that. Also big up to everyone who was out there 20 years ago, like myself, for the Million Man March, and went back 20 years later for this. So it was Million Man March also. Again, too. First and foremost, the big conversation today is who did not cover the gathering, the organization, and the positivity and all of those things on Saturday. And I just want to say and be very clear that I don't care who did not cover it. It is irritating to see major news networks cover violence in cities that, you know, are covering the violence of black people or the victimization of black and brown people, and they're covering that. But then when things go positive and organized, your news trucks aren't there. That is irritating.
Yeah.
But that is a part of the game. That is, you know, because organization and positivity is not as entertaining as violence and buffoonery.
Right. It sells.
It sells. We know that. So let's let's just move on from that, and let's focus on the fact that there was a great time Saturday. It was well organized, and there was a lot of people who were there. So let's not focus on who wasn't there. Shout out to Snoop, Diddy, J. Cole, Jeezy, Dave Chappelle, Common, Jay Electronica. There was a different vibe, though. If you were there 20 years ago at the Million Man March, it was very much about upliftment. It was about responsibility. It was about the responsibility of men, fathers, husbands, brothers, lifting each other up and lifting up their neighborhoods and their communities. And then when you go back, and this is me, I can't speak for everyone, while it was positive and I loved everything that happened on Saturday, I did have a feeling of sadness.
Why?
Because now here we are 20 years later gathering because we're being victimized, criminalized, mass incarcerated, and trying to like stand up for ourselves against oppression still.
20 years later.
20 years away from being like, nah, the responsibility is on us to uplift ourselves. Here we gather again 20 years later, and we're under attack, it feels like. And so the posture of people there was anger in some ways. There was a lot of high fives and love and hugs and good to see yous, but there was definitely like, nah, you're not gonna take us out like this. Yeah. And that's sad to me.
Yeah.
Right?
I would imagine so with that hashtag too.
Justice or else.
Justice or else.
Yeah.
You know, it's frustrated people being like, I'm gonna go down there, we want answers.
So I just wanted to take time to make sure that it got some light here on Hot 97. Obviously, Scotty Beam and I were down there, and we put up photos on Ebro and Deanii and on Hot 97, and you know, just to cover it. And we will be having more conversations about next steps. But I want to salute Farrakhan. And while people look, Farrakhan is a controversial figure in this country, and I know part of the reason certain news networks and organizations don't support is because of him and his positions. But I do believe when you're look, there's a lot of people you can agree with and disagree with, whether it's in politics or religion or community organizing. But when you're talking about people dying at the hands of police officers or people being mass incarcerated, sometimes you got to put your personal views aside and say, look, no, we all need to come together because we're all having these experiences, or our families are having these experiences. But I want to salute him because his speech that, listen, Farrakhan's going to say some things you don't agree with. That's part of what he does. But he also focused a lot of what he said on personal responsibility and your own actions and what you are doing, right? Whether it's what you're eating or how you're behaving, right? Or how you're treating people that you supposedly love. And I think that, you know, once again, put the things you disagree with him aside sometimes and focus on, listen, he is saying some things that we all need to take heed to once in a while, and speaking truths about things that we don't want to address in this country because it gives us pain. Right? And speaking of pain, it's Columbus Day. And sometimes people don't want to have those conversations because it hurts. Our past hurts. Our actions against people, it hurts. So, you know, I want to salute him, and the FOI and the Nation of Islam, and once again, all of the organizations that were out there, whether it was Native American organizations, whether it was Pacific Islander organizations, whether it was Christian organizations, there was Catholic organizations. I saw bikers out there from biker organizations, white ones, black ones. It was, I mean, everyone was out there. The Mexican organizations, the Spanish organizations. So it wasn't, you know, one specific group. There were a lot of people who put their differences aside and came together. So shout out to Justice or Else and the Million Man March that went down Saturday.